Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Conectados en Inglés. I want to start by saying hi to my co-host Thomas. Hello Thomas, how are you?
Hello, how's everybody?
Awesome. Today we have a very special episode because you know that we go in Spanish all the time, but today's guest is a very, very special guest to us. He comes all the way from Lebanon. He's not only a very talented architect, but also an accomplished musician and musical producer. His work is amazing, and we wanted for the Latin American audience to get to know him. So, welcome our friend Kareem Karame.
Hi. Hello.
Hello, Kareem.
How's
How
everyone?
are you?
Good. How's everyone doing?
Great. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation, and we're so happy to have you here. I've known you for a bit now, and I truly believe your music is fantastic. So I don't want to say too much. I'm going to allow Thomas to start this interview and for you to tell us a bit about what you do.
Thank you. Thank you for having me to start with.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for the kind words. It's very appreciated.
It's our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Kareem, it's an honor for us to have you here.
Thank you.
It's very important for us, for our work, and also to share this with everybody. We are hoping your experience can help many people and make them know what they want and to do what they really feel they want to do. So we are wondering about your experience, and we read a lot about you. We know you're an architect, you're a musician, and you're also a producer. And we were wondering, in your point of view, how do you think architecture and music are linked with each other, or how can they relate one to another, since you have that knowledge?
Yeah. Well, to start with, that is a very important question, actually. See, the premise and the basis of architecture. Let's speak about architecture first, since that's my basis and my education. The basis and the premise of architecture is spatial design and concept development, planning for the most part. So these are, even as a musician, these are skills that you generally work on. You develop with time, you develop with experience, you develop by listening to different, let's say, genres and styles of music. So how they're related, I suppose I take the skill elements of architecture and I sort of reflect them onto my music. So there's a lot of spatial planning with the music that I write. Just to make things clear, at the moment I'm producing a style called, let's say, ambient deep house. So there's a lot of spatial work going on. There's a lot of ambient effects going on. So where architecture has really benefited me in music production, and specifically with this style, is first of all the mashup and integration of different styles, as you would in architecture, to develop something different and unique. And at the same time, the planning aspect, again, very important, and I mentioned this a lot, the spatial planning, because I'm not designing, I'm not working on writing music as much as I am creating an atmosphere and an environment and a journey for the listener.
Oh, that's awesome. And that it makes me think about also harmony. When you said that you, since we are in the arts segment of our show, let's get a little bit into that. Whenever you build something, you're also looking at harmony. So if I get it right, this is a sort of like the same thing.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if you think about the concept of architecture and design, it's almost the same. It's almost the same branch, let's say, of conceptualization of, to have that harmony between different elements of your design. So between the external, internal space, the relation between internal spaces, the let's say the path that you follow within the design or the design elements that you're using. And the same concept applies to music as well. So you're doing the same thing. You're selecting sounds that work together. You're equalizing sounds to work in harmony together, so that nothing is overpowering the other. So it is very crucial. Yes, absolutely.
So this creates an experience for whoever
Yeah.
is listening to this music, just as if this is for audience to understand. Just like if you go to some amazing building and you live that experience of being there.
Yes,
what I guess the
absolutely.
difference is with music is that you actually get to experience it in such an intimate way, right? And the sounds that you mix, which we're going to be listening to in a couple of minutes, are very transcendent in sort of a
Yeah.
way. They kind of like allow you to go into introspection.
And that's what I was trying to do. Actually, it's a very great example you gave. Like when you walk into a building, you actually experience the building itself. And the difference, I suppose, between visiting a building and listening to a song is, I mean, the analogy you could use there is listening to a song would be more like looking at pictures of this building and trying to experience it through pictures. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create not a picture as much as I'm trying to create a video of that building in my music. So instead of you listening instead of you listening to something that's just two-dimensional, what I'm trying to create is space, which is three-dimensional.
So we can actually call you sort of like an impressionist.
I mean, in a very interesting sense, yes, I would say so.
And Kareem, I know that you come from a musical family. Like your dad is
Yes.
also a musician.
Mhm.
How has that influenced you and helped you?
Well, I mean, to start with, the most obvious way it has influenced me is by just imprinting music into my mind from a very young age. My dad plays the oud, the Arabic guitar,
Mhm.
lute, multiple names for it, and he sings. So I picked up a lot of that musical influence from that at a much younger age. And then as I grew older, I realized that there's a lot more um, dynamic in music than I was led to believe as a young child. Because to me, it was all about like the string instrument and the vocals. And then obviously, as you progress with music, you start realizing that there's rhythm involved, there's percussions involved, there's a lot of other instruments involved. So I started going on my own personal adventure um, to pick instruments that are extremely random and try to learn them.
And when
So through,
sorry, and when you say this, you're smiling. So it means that it has been a very gratifying journey for you, right?
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, at first, at first I thought that my talent was a musical talent, right? So when I started picking up different instruments, and when I say different instruments, I'm talking um, similar to the oud, guitar, bass. I've tried the violin. I've tried the saxophone. I did well on the saxophone for a while. I've tried keys and piano. I've tried percussion. So I was a drummer for a while in the metal scene in Dubai because I was born and raised there. And yeah, it's just that whole experience has got me to a point where I realized that my talent is not so much the music part as much as it is that I understand how things work. And
Uh-huh.
it's been such an interesting awareness, because I realized that it really goes hand in hand with the technical and the creative side things, right?
Amazing.
So the creativity is there, and then the technical side of understanding how things work go hand in hand, and you can just create music and art and whatever it is, just that's completely outside the box.
Well, I love that concept, and this is something that is very valuable for our audience. What you just said, thinking about outside the box, and following this very personal journey, because you can learn the techniques, you can learn so many things, but there's also timing, emotional transformation in it too, and a personal growth. And you also mentioned Dubai, and we're thinking that music is a universal language.
Of course.
And I think Thomas had mentioned me an interesting question in regards to that.
Yeah, the language the language that is done by music, the communication between different people around the world, is something very peculiar, because when you think about learning how to read or write or talk in certain languages, you also have different kind of it's not the same to learn a language than if you are born speaking or reading or writing that language. There's always things that are maybe you don't understand how they talk or how they sound. But with music, it's something about feeling, and it's universal. Everybody has the same. They can reach the music in their own way, but they can communicate with each other. What do you think about that?
No, that's absolutely true, and it's a valid point. The thing that separates well, let's start by saying that the misconception between music and language is that, I mean, people call music a universal language, but they don't give it the same weight as an actual spoken language, right? The thing is, I'm self-taught when it comes to music, so my music theory is, let's say, limited to what I need, right? But in essence, music is a language. It consists of 7 letters, and each letter has different accents and different different timings and everything. So you have your do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, which is A, B, C, D, E, F, G in any other language, right? But this is where it becomes a universal language. Different countries use different alphabets, but music across the world uses the same alphabets, and this is where it becomes a universal language. When you're learning a language, you're learning a very small part of a culture. But when you're learning music, you're from a different nation or a different culture or a different background. You're actually going as far as learning that, let's say a country, or let's say a people. You're learning that people's history, and you're learning that people's folklore, and you're learning that people's culture and tradition and heritage, and it's all there in music, because music is not just something that you invent. It is a development from the earliest stage of that area or that nation or that country or city. And it's just this constant development to where we are today. But in essence, it is absolutely a universal language. And that cross culture between the musical language, let's say, is what has made like global and universal music possible to start with. Because if everyone stuck to their own musical language, then music today would be completely different.
Exactly. And it is also a language, I would add, because it not only does have a code in itself, right, that can be taught and learned, but also because it creates a couple of things that are included into what we consider language and communication, which is thought, all right, feeling, okay, and then external action, which is the actual communication. So there's a whole process that happens inside of us, and then we can communicate with it. So there's qualities in music that actually overlap across cultures.
Yeah, of course.
Completely.
Absolutely, yes.
And how has been this experience of venturing into this genres, you know, mixing? How has it been for you? What's been like?
It's been difficult. To go back to a point I said earlier, which is, if there was no cross culture when it came to music, music today would be completely different. This reflects directly to where I am today, because I was brought up with traditional, cultural, old Arabic music, and the transition from that to the next genre that I gained interest in was so sudden, because I went from this what we call tarab, which is like the Mediterranean folk type of music, where it's all focused on like the musical quality and the voice and like the vocal range and capabilities and whatnot. I transitioned from that to progressive and death metal in in a matter, and no joke, in a matter of like 2 weeks. So I went from listening to this like wonderful traditional Arabic music, and you have to also try to and grasp the way my especially my father took this transition, you know, from going to listening. It's like going from listening to like Pavarotti all the way to like Cannibal Corpse, and suddenly I come home and I'm blasting ba 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 into my ears, and my dad's like, what on earth is going on? So then I tried to explain to him, obviously, that I mean, they're both art in their own regard. If you don't like a certain type of food and someone else likes it, it doesn't mean that this food is rendered invalid. No, it's valid, and it has its own market. So I transitioned through multiple phases of music. About a year and a half ago, I started working with a local producer in Lebanon called Giovanni. He goes by the artist name of Syncosis. And we started working together. At first, it was just a collaboration, and then eventually it turned into like this bigger project. We started producing and putting out music in an Oriental deep house genre. And just watching him work as a producer, because at that point I wasn't producing my own music yet, and watching him work as a producer and just seeing that whole overall experience and journey that he goes through from taking just random sounds and random samples and synths and just putting it all together into this amazingly well formed song was so mind-blowing and phenomenal to me. Like, I've been in studios before. I've recorded oud, I've recorded vocals, I've recorded drums, but I've never really worked with a producer that produces, like, let's call it electronic music. So for me, that was just mind-blowing. And I'm like, no, I need to figure out how to do this as well. So we took a small break when the global pandemic struck, let's say. And from there, I started slowly developing my own skills. I don't want to say I discovered, but I came across this genre that I'm writing today. And I grew very fascinated with it. And I felt like this is something I would like to write. So fast forward, let's say a year and a half later, and here I am, writing and mixing and producing my own music.
And how do you feel on a personal dimension in regards to that? Like, if you look back when you started playing as a little kid and learning, right? And now you're here at this stage of your musical career.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Because this can be something very interesting for other people that are watching and they're wondering, am I able to do this? You know? So how do you feel?
I mean, I look back at certain points where I have to admit, like, there were certain phases and points in my life where I felt like I just wanted to quit doing music, simply because, first of all, it's a very saturated market. Second of all, it's a very, very difficult market to branch into, especially today when things are very accessible to a lot of people. But how I feel today, um, I mean, I don't want to say I feel accomplished because I'm not there yet, but I am very proud of where I've reached when it comes to music. I like the fact that I have certain people that ask me about music. I have certain people that learn from me when it comes to music. That in and of itself is a sense of accomplishment.
Yes, I can relate to that, because when one transits through a journey that is a journey that we love, and we reach a higher stage, we always feel proud of ourselves, right? And we have to follow our dreams, because when you changed genres many years ago and your dad was looking at you like, that was quite something, and you took a risk, and that's cool. That's cool.
Absolutely, yes. And you don't feel that sense of accomplishment while you're in the process, but you get to a point where you say, okay, I might not be where I want to be, but I'm in a place where I feel like I worked hard to get here, and I feel proud of myself. And yes, there is a sense of accomplishment for sure.
I'm thinking that maybe that sense of accomplishment comes from something that you said. I'm not where I want to be yet, but okay, I think we have a problem. Kareem?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. These things
I
happen.
suppose
Don't worry. Don't worry.
It says my internet connection is unstable.
Don't worry, these things happen. We're living in pandemic, guys. Like, these things happen, and we just have to continue. But I was thinking that your signal is gonna come back. Don't worry. There you go.
Am I back?
You are back. You were always here. So
I test with my little head movement.
Don't worry. I mean, this happens to everyone. We're living tough times nowadays, and the important thing is that we're actually able to connect to others. You know,
absolutely, yes.
Which is the purpose of this show. So I was thinking that sense of accomplishment is also linked to something that you said. I'm not there. I'm not still where I want to be, but I've gained what I need for the moment. And when we have what we need,
and I've gained what I need to get there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the right mindset through a process. Totally. And I think Thomas also wanted to ask something.
We are thinking about all the people that are watching you right now, and I'm sure there are many of them that are maybe feeling they want to create some music or do something. What would you tell a person that is feeling that?
I would say the same thing I tell anyone that asks me that question: create, 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 and never stop creating. Never stop creating. You're gonna have tough days, and you're gonna have days where you have writer's block, and you're gonna have days where you have no inspiration. That's fine, and that's part of the process. It's always okay to take a break. It's always okay to take some time off, recalibrate, and come back with a fresh perspective. This process is something I've been through. I can't even count how many times I've been through in the last maybe 15, 16 years of my, let's say, musical growth. It happens, but create, and never stop creating.
That's a great message.
Yes, totally. And I don't know what you think, Thomas, but what he's saying actually allows us to keep ourselves in movement, you know, moving and creating. I think we lost the signal again. Can you hear us?
I don't know. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you well. No problem.
It's just my camera that's going on and off, probably because of the I'm testing myself again. Okay.
You're here. You're back.
Yes, I'm back.
Hey, Kareem, I'm a bit anxious. Yes. I'm sure the audience is anxious as well. Is it possible for us to listen some of your creations? Is it that a big deal?
Yeah. No, of course we can do that.
Okay, do it.
I'm going to play a bit of my next track. Well, it's not released yet. The track is called SOS, and it is the 5th and last track of my EP called Story of Mine. We can go into the title and everything later, but here's.
I want to add something before you do that. In fact, we're gonna have all of your information, social media, the name of the track, and everything, your Spotify, everything in the description box, so people can actually get in touch with you through Instagram or whatever media.
Yeah.
Yes.
For now, it's Instagram, Facebook, and SoundCloud. Mm-hmm. And by the next EP, I'm probably gonna try to get myself signed with some labels so I can have it distributed on a more international level.
Awesome. And also the audience are going to be able to see in the flyer. You guys are going to see that there's a QR for Kareem. Mm-hmm. So you can scan that and listen to his music, get in touch with him, everything. So go ahead, Kay. Hit us with your music.
All right. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite a journey.
a small bit.
Thank you so much.
In some sort of a way, it reminds me of binaural beats, you know, something like that, like something so that it kind of like palpitates inside of you, you know. It's awesome. I loved it.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Kareem.
Thank you for the chance to actually showcase some of my work.
We love it, and you know, we're gonna be, if you want for us to do so, we're gonna be letting people know when your track is gonna be released. And
yeah, for sure.
In the future, we would love to have you back to tell us, you know, how things are going.
No, I'd be happy to be back for sure.
I'm pretty sure that the audience is going to be very happy, particularly all those that are planning to make music and they feel kind of lost. You know, what you said is very important, and I think it's going to inspire a lot of people, young people that are.
Absolutely. You know, I really hope so. I really hope so. I really hope so. I mean, I always encourage anyone that has any sense of music to do something with it, because it's not, I don't want to say it's not a common skill. A lot of people have a sense of music in them, but they feel like what I know in music today is limited and it's not enough. But that's where I always say, just create and learn. Never stop learning, never stop creating, especially when it comes to music, life, and especially when it comes to music, life is a never-ending school. It's just never ending. Every single day you learn new things. Every single day you experience new things in music, and it gets you to a place where you're better at producing or better at writing or better at practicing. So always, always just push forward when it comes to creating.
And the most important thing, it allows you to get to know yourself in a different dimension.
Yes,
and
of
this
course.
is also helpful for the rest areas of your life. So
Yeah.
Thank you very much for being here. Don't
Thank you
mind
for
the
having me.
internet connection, because it
It's
happens
okay.
to all of us. All right.
Yeah.
We try to be as authentic as possible. And the most important thing in these times where so many horrible things have been happening is to actually have the chance to be connected. So
yes, of course. Of course.
Thank you very much for your time. Thomas?
Hope to see you soon, Kareem. This was great, and it's lovely to have you here joining us, and hope to have another one of these very soon.
Hopefully. And if I can say, first of all, again, thank you guys so much for hosting me. Thank you for the initiative that you guys are doing. I mean, more and more, I say, people or channels or let's even call them influencers need to do this. It's very important, especially at this time now where a lot of people have a lot of questions in their lives. They're very lost. They're very misguided, and they don't know what they want to be doing with their lives. I say this is actually the best time to figure out what you want to do with your life, since the whole planet is on pause. And everyone's fear is usually time, right? But now I'm telling you, time is stopped. Figure out what you want to do with your life.
That's such a beautiful message. And that is what we actually want to create here, right? We are not teenagers. We are young people in our 40s. And what we're trying to create is some sort of awareness and bringing people from different parts of the world, different cultures, different everything, to just be themselves, talk about what they do, because in this way we are not only connected but maybe inspiring others, helping others, right?
Of course.
Healing with others, and that's the most important thing. So thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful day, and
thanks, you too.
That's it. Bye bye, everybody. Thank you for watching.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Ciao,
Bye bye. Ciao. Bye.